Today we're going to ask ourselves, how did progression save One Piece? Progression is a very complex subject. Essentially, it is the driving force that takes the viewers or readers from point A to point B without dropping their attention. In other words, it is the ability to captivate due to a continuous flow of information and intrigue that keeps the viewers wanting more. Progression is without any doubt the number one key to crafting a successful story. Paradoxically, it is often sacrificed for other objectives such as entertainment, exposition, concept, romance, fluff. Bref, anything can quickly obstruct the progression of your story if you're not careful. Progression comes in two main forms: external progression, also known as visual progression, and internal progression, that I like to call depth. Let's see how One Piece uses progression to its advantage. Number 1. External progression. How a sense of adventures creates external progression. First episode to the last, One Piece keeps us running. We go from place to place with new threats, characters, challenges.
This whole island is trying to kill us.
Which gives the viewers a sense of adventure. Visually, we are never in the same place. We go from Davida's ship to the Marine Base, to the Clown Village, to Gecko Island, to the Baratis, to Coco Village, to Island Park. There is no stagnation possible. The viewer is mentally stimulated by every new environment. We barely have the time to get bored of a scene that we are already going somewhere else. But even better than just wandering aimlessly and uselessly from location to location, every location serves a purpose. Each location gives us something new or helps the story in some shape or form. On Davida's ship, we meet Kobe, a character that will play a very important role in the future. On the Marine Base, we meet Nami and Zoro, the first members of the Straw Hat crew. Gecko Island introduces Usopp and the Going Merry. In Baratis, Sanji joins the crew. So One Piece uses a very simple yet efficient strategy, which is every new location introduces a new member. And with every new member, we get the feeling that we are getting closer and closer to forming the Straw Hat crew. This strategy is so simple and effective that you can even use it multiple times with different variations. And One Piece understood that perfectly and took full advantage. So it becomes every new location introduces a new villain or antagonist. On Davida's ship, we are obviously introduced to Davida, and given the very last scene, Homegirl is pissed. She's coming back for blood. On the Marine Base, we are introduced to Vice Admiral, also known as Monkey the Garp, and Axan Morgan. The Clown Village introduces us to the very interesting yet awful character Buggy the Clown. On Gecko Island, we meet Kuro, captain of the Black Cat Pirates, and seeing that he escaped, is likely to come back in the future. In Baratis, we have the pleasure to meet Draco Mihawk, and in Island Park, obviously we meet Arlen. Each of these villains have a good reason to hate our hero, and we are likely to see them again in Season 2 or Season 3. Hence, each location comes with its own set of baggage and problem, and it contributes and enriches the world of One Piece. There are multiple players on this chessboard. Some might form alliances, others' motivations might differ, but our heroes are facing a complex and multiple antagonists, and not just one big, bad, boring villain. Therefore, each scene keeps you moving forward. The writing is so good that even when the story seems to take a break, even when supposedly nothing is going on, we have the expectation that something is about to happen. Now we have surpassed progression. The viewers is no longer just pushed by the story, we are pushing the story ourselves. We are in the realm of anticipation. We want to see the next member, the next adventure, the next challenge, the next villain. And that's essentially how you make a 8-hour season with no useless scenes. Talk about a masterpiece. B. Exposition in service of external progression. Earlier we talked about the threats to progression and how easy it is to fuck up. Well, the biggest threat to progression, especially in the first season or the first book of any story, is exposition. Writers often believe that they have to stop the story in order to give the reader or the viewer the necessary information to enjoy said story. They view progression and exposition as two separate entities. One has to be sacrificed momentarily for the other. The truth is that that's absolutely not the case, and One Piece showed that perfectly. Here we are being introduced to a world with pirates, different seas, people with powers, demon food, different villains, going back to the past, coming back to the present, and all this while taking us on a literal sprint across location. And we don't feel overwhelmed. Think of it as two stories on top of each other. Both are equally as important. The mistake that we often see on screen is that exposition starts and the story just stops. You can't just alter the general flow of storytelling to dump information on your viewers. Similarly, you can't just give us information at random and cut the narrative flow. So what do? Let's look at the perfect example and how One Piece solved this conundrum. In One Piece, the flashbacks are spread throughout the series, and most importantly, they are always linked to the current event. The information actually helps us better appreciate what we are witnessing. They do not stop the plot. For instance, the viewers better understand Zoro's motivation to fight Draco Mihawk because of exposition through flashbacks.
We made a promise.
So we understand the stakes and the weight of the fight, but most importantly, we understand that it is inevitable. The same can be said for Nami. The flashback of her mother's death and her pact with Harlong help us understand why she's betraying her friends. And because the information is given to us while she's actively acting like a fucking traitor, the viewers feel conflicted because exposition brings conflict. Exposition brings tension. So we understand why she's doing what she's doing, even if it's wrong. Hence, when it comes to exposition, timing is important. Like, have you ever been watching a film and then there's just a flashback and you're like, man, no one asked for this. I don't care. Yeah, that's what you want to avoid. Instead, the reaction should be, that explains a lot. Okay, now I understand better what's going on. Thus, exposition is essentially a combination of perfect timing and the information you choose to disclose in your flashback. Here, exposition serves two purposes. The first is that it gives us context about the characters, and the second is that it contributes to progress by pushing the story forward. If you are able to use exposition in these two ways, you are certain to have your viewers or readers in a chokehold. But beware, do not confuse progress with movement. Just because there's a lot going on doesn't mean your story is actually going forward. For a story to be progressing, you need something to progress towards. Which brings us to the next point: the goal, the dream, the internal progression. Number 2, internal progression. A. Layered goals overarching a central objective. The central theme of season 1 is going after your dreams and goals, and that's the key to crafting progression. A goal. If you don't take anything else from this video, please take this. In order for any story to be successful, you need to have a clear goal at any given time of the narration. Because a goal, a dream, moves you forward. Because you have to get up and go get them. You have to move forward to get them. Your dream moves you forward. It takes you from your current situation and pushes you to the next. This season, the ultimate goal is to find the One Piece. And to do that, they need to
go to the Grand Line.
As we check off steps, we have the sense of moving forward towards that goal. At the end of season 1, Luffy is a wanted man. So they are officially a pirate crew, the Straw Hat crew. We have a ship, the Going Merry. We have a Jolly Roger. And we have a map of the Grand Line. The goal is clear, and the path our heroes are taking to get there is straightforward. If you're able to define a central goal, you can ensure that in some shape or form, your story is bound to progress. But let's take it even a step further. If you want to ensure with absolute certainty that your viewer will never take their attention off your screen or of your book, we need to modify the first rule. So it becomes, in order for any story to be successful, all characters need to have a clear goal at any given time. After crafting a central goal, finding the one piece, getting to the grand line, it is important to go even further. Each character ought to have their own motivation and objective as to why they are there. It must be inherent to their being, their individual story. It's their character arc. One Piece is a master at making every character's goal very clear. Luffy wants to become king of the pirates. Zoro wants to become the greatest swordsman to have ever lived. Nami wants to draw a map of the world. Usopp wants to become a great navigator. Sanji wants to find the All Blue and cook exceptional dishes. Kobe wants to become the best marine possible. We can even take it further as to say Buggy the clown wants to make the world laugh. El Mepo wants to become a great swordsman. Even Arlong wants to free his people by becoming unstoppable. Therefore, all characters must have a personal backstory and the journey that they are on. They also have flaws and vices. For example, Usopp is a bullshitter. Zoro clearly has trust issues. Nami is low-key kleptomania. And Sanji, well, Sanji is just perfect. In the beginning of the story, each of the Straw Hat crew is in some sort of unflattering predicament and is fighting their own demon. Nami is obviously hiding a secret and refuses to get attached, even though she feels clearly good with the crew, and Zoro doesn't seem interested in anybody but himself. But why is this important, and what does it have to do with progression? Personal motivation in itself doesn't do much in terms of progression. It essentially prevents the character from feeling hollow and gives the viewers a point of contact with the fictional character. If you understand their dreams and motivation, we can relate to them and so we care about what's going on. But when it comes to progression, what is important is the resolution of said personal motivation. It's the before and after effect. In One Piece, all the characters overcome their struggle to some extent by the end of season 1. Nami went from saying that she has no friend to actually embracing the crew. Zoro actually takes his role as first mate seriously. Usopp faces his fears and finally has a true story to tell. Sanji is just vibing and cooking. So individual motivation is just as important as the main goal. In other words, progression is translated by growth, individual and collective. It gives the viewers a sense of satisfaction. It makes us feel like we didn't just spend 10 hours watching a teen version of Pirates of the Caribbean. Character growth is pivotal because even if your story is in one main location, so you do not have the advantage of external progression, or the central goal or central objective will only be achieved in season 6 or book 19, the individual characters carry the show by making the viewer feel like they've achieved something. So internal goal is a powerful tool. The external situation could stay the same, but the characters themselves have changed. So the story looks and feels different. Now I know what you're thinking. If everybody has a goal, demons and motivation, and on top of that we have a central goal, not to mention external progression in the forms of a sense of adventure and exposition, how are the viewers not gonna be confused? How do you make everything make sense? How do you make all the pieces become one? B. The bullet train method. Let's use the analogy of a bullet train. The engine. Luffy.
I know exactly who I am.
The first way to create cohesiveness in a story is by your main character. It is the point to which everything happens. It is the point of conversion and diversion. Luffy is not just an empty character, goofy and carefree, who can't take anything seriously. Well, he is, but he's also the glue that ties them all together. Luffy, with his undying principles and optimism, helps everyone see themselves and the world differently. He sees more for people than they see for themselves. For example, Luffy continuously calls Nami a navigator even when she kept calling herself a thief. He believes Usopp anytime he starts blathering his fictional story, thus giving him confidence. He treats Zoro like a friend even before they actually become friends. He is in a way the reason they all grow and evolve. The more the members of the crew spend with Luffy, the more they experience growth. In reality, Luffy's power does not lie in his elastic bones, but in his capacity to identify potential. He motivates them to do better for themselves and to believe in their dream. He has a strong moral compass and value of being a different kind of pirate that diffuses to all the other characters. He never wavers and always encourages people to believe in their dreams, even if that means letting them die, like Zoro, or letting them go, like Kobe. No matter how or where you turn, Luffy is the answer to the problem. For example, Vice Admiral finally gets the grandfather-grandson relationship he always wanted with Luffy through Kobe. It just so happens that Kobe was literally brought to him by Luffy. Luffy is the best person to relate to Sanji's issue as he also has a strained relationship with the father figure. Luffy understands Usopp's abandonment issue as he was also abandoned by Shanks. Nobody, and I mean nobody, other than Luffy, can understand Sanji's guilt of living with the fact that someone you love sacrificed a freaking limb to save your life. And he gives them both a way out by offering them to join his crew. All the growth that we talked about previously comes through Luffy. Therefore, Luffy serves as a vector of progress. He is the engine to our train. The second way is to create a bulletproof chain of events and people. It goes like this. All the goals are either complementary or in contradiction, and each person is linked in some way to the next. Let's break it down. All the goals are either complementary or in contradiction. Let's look at that closely. So we can see that Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, Usopp have complementary goals, and their goals are in direct contradiction with that of Buggy the Clown, Alvida, Axe and Morgan, and Arlong. We also have people that are just in the middle, like Admiral, Dracul, Kobe, and El Maple. These characters are extremely important as they serve as a buffer to avoid the story looking cartoonish with good guys and bad guys. They create nuance and complexity. Now let's look at the second part of our rule. Each person is linked in some way to the next. Let's see how that plays out in One Piece. Vice Admiral killed Gold Roger. Gold Roger is Luffy's hero. Vice Admiral is Luffy's grandfather. Kobe is Luffy's friend. Kobe is also Vice Admiral's protege. Kobe was also imprisoned by Alvida. Alvida hates Luffy for saving Kobe and destroying her ship. She also has beef with Zoro, the pirate hunter. Kobe is friends with Helmeppo. Helmeppo is Axe and Morgan's son. Axe and Morgan hates Zoro and the Straw Hat crew. Axe and Morgan is connected to Kuro, captain of the Black Cat Pirate, as he kind of derives his notoriety for allegedly killing Kuro. However, Kuro, the gold digger, is actually after Usopp's girlfriend's money. Luffy knows Usopp's father, Yasopp. Yasopp is on Shanks' crew. Shanks is Luffy's father figure. Shanks and Buggy the Clown were mates, and apparently they hate each other. Buggy the Clown hates Luffy and his crew. Buggy is also working for Arlong. Arlong killed Nami's mother and keeps her entire village in bondage. Therefore, the entire Straw Hat crew hates Arlong. Mihawk works for Monkey the Garp, but is also friends with Shanks. And Zoro has beef with Mihawk in order to achieve his goal. And so on and so forth. It is essentially a piece of the puzzle after another piece of the puzzle that creates one big masterpiece. Each person's action has a positive or negative reaction on the next person. And since everybody is intertwined and interdependent, it's even more intense and the stakes are higher. So there is no way to get off course. No matter where you turn, you always find yourself back on track. It is essentially an ironclad storytelling. It's a neat trick for any writer and a way to ensure that your story comes out at least half decent. With every interdependence, our understanding of the world of One Piece becomes broader and broader. And so the reason I named it the bullet train method, it's because it's just that. The walls of the train is the world of One Piece. It's where the story is taking place. The compartment of your train is the individual stories of each character. The engine of the train has to be your main character, Luffy. The rail is exposition. It's what helps the train to go forward. The sense of adventure can be symbolized by the different stops along the way. And your final destination? Well, that's your ultimate goal. Finding the One Piece. It is fast, it is strong, it is inevitable. And just like a train wreck, you can't look away. So how did progression save One Piece? Essentially by creating a moving train. That's it, guys. One Piece by Netflix definitely get a 5-star rating by me. There are so many ways they could have effed things up, but they kept it simple and they kept it sweet and they did a fantastic job. There's something that was definitely a miss, but I go more into details on my TikTok, so if you're interested, definitely go check it out. The link will be in the description down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something from this video. Of course, let me know down below if you actually felt progression. On that note, keep on reading, keep on watching. I'll see you next time. Allez, salut!